Hello guys and welcome to the channel. This is Roll, and today's video this is gonna be a commentary guide type video when you get to see how I make my decisions while roaming, about how to survive, how to apply your damage DPS, how to CC chain someone. It's basically a follow-up to the complete guide video I made on this combat side of Druid a while ago, and if you get to see it, both videos and the build video, you would have the complete knowledge of Druid, and hopefully it will help you play it better, and even if you don't play Druid it will help you fight against him. So without further ado, we will get right into it. And for the first clip we're gonna have a Druid on Druid combat, and you know how Druids can fight each other and be never ending, because both of the Druid will have insane amount of condition cleanses. But for this one it's gonna end differently. So he immediately starts on me with Entangle, I remove it, I follow with a projectile defense after another to avoid his stuns or immobilize from short bow. I try to do the same, luck him, but he avoided, and even used the glyph, which was an overkill. You shouldn't use both your stun break, but always read the situation. In a fight like that I only fighting him, so there is no way he can luck me. It doesn't matter even if he CC me or CC chain. The moment the Celestial Avatar would have come, I would break and cleanse condition. So I luck him in a huge burst using my underwater skills, and he used staff and Celestial Avatar. That's a waste of skills. He didn't need to shift to staff. He could simply break with distance and I'll be able not to land any skill on him again. And he used his healing trap and leave out of the healing trap for no reason. So I ball him. He's unable to stop my projectile. He doesn't have a turtle. He even tried to lock me with Celestial Avatar with no method to actually land skill 5, so I simply dodge, or you can simply walk sometimes out of it, and I lock him here. Maybe he's not even running cleansing and energy, and even if he did, my entangle was already a cooldown and I can heal under him, so the fight would have been over and I would be able to immobilize him again. But remember, the method to land skill 5, as you can see here, I will ball him with Iboga inside the animation. He's CC'd and immobilized and he can't break, he will eat all the damage. The other very reliable method is to entangle someone outside of Celestial Avatar or inside it, more likely outside. But those are the reliable, effective methods that you can count on. However, you can overwhelm someone with too much condition, he can't break in time, or as I do here, I immobilize him with short bow 4 because I flank it, and the immobilize was long enough so he couldn't actually break. He already used some of his condition cleanses and ended up being immobilized for the most duration of the skill, and it landed. So enough CCs, enough movement impairing, cripple and stuff, and you can overwhelm someone to land skill 5 even without those two methods, as you can see here. And in the following clip we're gonna see the perfect burst. Then I already explained this in the guide video, which basically usually will start with Boga and stuff like that, but the idea behind the perfect burst is actually to luck chain CC someone. So as you can see here, I stun and follow with an immobilize from short bow 4. Again daze with the glyph, entangle, enter Celestial Avatar to a daze, and ball with Iboga, go for skill 5 and 2 immediately. It's a daze after stun, and he's immobbed and dazed. He can't move or dodge and he can't use skills. So unless he have a serious answer to cleanse that amount of condition and stun break to stop my chain, he dies. Now after that we're gonna look into how someone can be overwhelmed. So they are not locked, you didn't CC them time after time and there's not much you can do because they lost their cooldown. No, you base your damage. He even, as you can see here, took a huge amount of my damage and simply cleansed it all, trying to keep following. We both face tanking each other, but I'm running my cooldown a bit better than he can do. I ball him and trigger stability by bit swiping and daze him and launch him with turtle actually after it appeared, and even if he can break that, even if he cleans that, he kept wasting too much condition cleanses because he tanked too much of my damage anyway. Now I also talked about how we fare against some classes right now, and any class that use clones, minions like Minion Mancer, clones for Chronomancer or Mesmer in general became quite more dangerous to us because we can't lock their clones and prevent them from shattering us, for example. However, we still have so many tools, as you can see. I entangled his clones, I daze his clones and immobilize them with skills 3, I lock them with more damage, or even burn through them with cleave. I even use my turtle to try to avoid some of this damage that he can apply to me. So even if we lose Ancient Seed to actually being able to lock both our enemy and their pets or minions, we still have few tools to actually interrupt those bits or minions or immobilize them again, and we can still use those tools to our advantage. However, also for fighting any class like Mesmer or Thief that can stealth and burst you from stealth, create distance if possible, unless you're really afraid they will break distance from you. Try to immobilize them, lock them inside stealth or something like that. And again, I'm locking his clones away from me with using Entangle because he gave me enough time for it. And avoiding all of his damage and lock him with a burst after another and he's dead. Now for the next clip we're gonna look into the importance of movement. Like I explained, we need to create some serious distance between us and enemy right now. We used to be able to lock someone inside Ancient Seed and simply start moving to fight from range, but we don't have Ancient Seed, so enemies will always be following us. Even if they were able to cleanse multiple times, as much as we applied, it still takes some delay to do that, which means we can build up distance if we want to survive. It's the idea of controlling the position of your enemy. Right now we don't have this, but we have few tools can use that to our advantage, like forcing the enemy to stand inside our damage and eat most of it, using Lunar Impact for 1 second immobilize or more depending on condition duration. So Reaper, for example, is one of the classes we were able to put inside Ancient Seed, and if they are inside the Shroud, they can't follow you. They will have to kill the Seed or leave the Shroud, which could be very annoying to them, but right now it's not possible. However, I'm managing myself, keep moving around him, avoiding his damage and following with one immob after the other, and finally securing my stump and land it. Then end up with fighting two Tempests that basically support and condition using Scepter and stuff, so they are quite dangerous with the reflects and cleanse for each other and stuff. But we will see how a failure to, I wouldn't say pay attention, but a drastic shift in the fight can cost you the fight easily if you didn't have enough distance and enough room to actually breathe. I don't have a way to line of sight around here, distance was the only thing, and I get attacked by a very good soul beast from the wall, and even have another one. This is a 4v1 at this point, and he interrupts my projectile defense barrier, and the moment I try to stealth and reposition with Sisti Avatar, I wasn't fast enough to leave, or he even was very accurate with his timing to use Sikkim on me, so I'm revealed and there was no way out for me, because I couldn't even lock the Tempests, both of them moved far from me. And for the second fight we're gonna see the opposite. I'm aware of my surrounding, I know how to break distance with them. I'm fighting two second soul beasts with even bursting projectile. I tried to use my bit as a body block and it didn't work, so that means he's running a piercing projectile. Both me and my bit was eating that damage, and I'm trying to kite them both, and they are very effectively avoided even healing me through the barrier. They blame quite well. So I go around this elevation in the floor, so I would avoid their damage. I wait until I see they might kill me in order to use the bubble, so I don't simply spam it and waste my projectile defense. Immediately daze him before he go into burst, and daze him again with Sisti Avatar and go up so I won't eat the tracking projectile, but that immob a bit hurt me here, almost cost me the fight. However, he's in great sword, so he can't follow up with more damage, and I go inside the camp to line of sight with the wall. And they know here, even if they follow me, I can keep switching between inside and outside the camp to shield myself with the wall, and I can do some serious damage, keep building my damage on them. So they try to break free. All their goal is probably either take the camp or defend their keep simply. Now we will go for the most important fight we have in this video. This is going to be a very long one. It will show many of the tools that a ranger can do, and I use the same combo ball inside the animation, and this core necromancer is gonna be the weak link of his people. He doesn't have much cleanse and I can burst him quite easily, so I immediately go for Celestia Avatar, blind him inside it and stealth to avoid interrupting from both him and the Mechanist, and immediately stun. Go for the turtle to give myself some healing and stop the projectile from the mech and the Mechanist, and then switch for the staff for extra healing and stopping the projectile again while slowly pressuring the Mechanist a bit and go for a burst. However, I get attacked by a Harbinger, and he is gonna be the most dangerous one of them. He's a Harbinger, which means he have a lot of cleanses and a lot of condition, some serious burst and control over the fight. So I create my distance, mob him, keep him behind me, and just bowling them toward me one by one. The Necromancer also came back, so it's a 1v3 now. and I need to focus on the weak link. I try to reposition using a projectile defense after another to secure myself from their damage inside my projectile field, hoping that I can actually burst them in it, but it's very risky and I end up being bombarded with some damage, creating distance again, and I go for the necromancer. I go focus my attention on him. I go very far from the camp and keeping this house between me and them, so if I need I can reposition and spin around it and lock in the necromancer with my damage here, ball in them with the evoke as the same trick, and he eat all my damage. I blind him, leave Celestial Avatar near him so he eat even my short bow damage, and he's down. I use Entangle for cleave and even heal under them, and switching to my turtle and go with a cleave with my Celestial Avatar. Entangle will trigger for every immoved Blood Moon, and also you can do the same with Celestial Avatar 5, giving poison from Celestial Avatar 2, it's insane amount of cleave. I CC the Harbinger so he won't revive, and CC him again with my turtle, and then with Entrance Celestial Avatar, and then with the bolt from Iboga and Lunar Impact. I just bombard him with CCs, there's not much he can do, and all that cleave going also for the whole mess. And that's going quite successfully to stop it, and now it's a 1v1 me against the Harbinger. And that's something to pay attention to, the micromanagement which I talked about for your bit, especially for the turtles. A turtle will always stick in place, so using it like that next to your enemy will land its CC. So call her to use return to me and use attack target when you next to your enemy. It's a way to position her in a way that it will land its melee attacks. And I can kill the Harbinger, he have too much congestion cleanse, this fight is going for so long and they keep coming off the respawn, we're basically next to it. But since the weak link came back, I would have to attack him first, shift my target so he wouldn't be just free casting at me at this point. And since he doesn't have much of condition cleanse, he go down again while the Harbinger was trying to break combat from me. I think he didn't notice that his ally came back and he triggered the fear while I was stealth, so it was either on my turtle or on no target. And now I'm engaging the Harbinger again and the Mechanist came back again. It's a 2v1 and this fight is gonna happen quite sometimes. Only the Harbinger will be able to survive because the amount of condition cleanse he have. So eventually the Harbinger or any one of them called for help, and right now it's not even them coming back. I see two other people coming from there, which means it's a 1v4. So I immediately try to break combat at least, or kite as far as I can inside their camp, and I already couldn't kill the Harbinger enough to take their camp. It's a waste of my time, and they have a spell breaker on their side. So I break my distance so far and see how many are following me. I thought maybe only two, and then I saw the third. So I go for the Necromancer. If I down him, I force them to revive him or simply ignore him, and now it's a smaller fight. So it's always good to lower the number of your enemies. I do that, use burst, and I leave, creating my distance. So I ball the Necromancer down from his Warclaw and burst him again, and simply trying to create distance, but it is quite risky. I try to create a huge distance between me and them, like I'm running and not looking back. I'm trying even to prevent them from doing anything. Still my focus was on the Necromancer since he is quite the easy target, and do some serious burst on him. He can't give me my condition, he can't heal from them. I need to pay attention from the ball on the Spellbreaker, and my stability got corrupted. The moment it broke, I immediately went for staff to try to leave and create more distance. And they are stuck reviving him, I create more distance, and finally I'm out of combat, and I do the same cycle again. Run away from them until I think I have an opening to fight. So I thought maybe there are only two, and again he was just behind, so it's still the three. I immediately go into kiting since they trying to or started to get my rhythm, so they will be able to burn my health even while I'm trying to defend myself doing damage. I shift my focus on Spellbreaker since he is the most dangerous one to me, obviously. His CC can lock me in their damage and there's not much I can do, and he's the only pure power player, and power is more dangerous to a conditioned druid obviously. So I try to immobilize him from behind a stun break immediately. What he do, daze him and go for some cover with condition, but I get immobilized, and I do some little bit of healing, dodge, gain distance, try to lock him here, switch to my turtle in order to tank a little bit with the protection, and again create more distance, kite like mad, dodges for heals, avoiding of any lockdown or a CC, and reducing the damage that incoming after. Always look behind your back to see what your enemy is doing, so they don't use any crazy skill or a ball or immobilize or whatever. I'm again shifting my focus to the spellbreaker. Doing the necromancer trick will not help. I can't go through them both while he's down, and I'm trying to be very careful around this tether for the spellbreaker. The moment he ball me, it's gonna be quite the problem. Using turtle to tank this insane damage since I'm CC'd. You don't always need to have a stun break. Sometimes you can simply tank things the right way with enough healing or enough damage reduction. You can survive. So at this point, I feel like there is no way for me to just win this fight against them. So I look into this camp and I find someone who is trying to take it from another ally to them. So I go for this ally and maybe we can end up with 2v4, but he ran away and the warrior surprised me with a banner raise. So now it's 1v4 at this point. So I'm testing them a little bit, but there's no benefit, like there's not much I can do. So I break from them and wait around, but they don't follow me, and apparently they all teleported. They just gave up. They knew they couldn't catch me at this point. So I go back for the camp, and after trying to take the camp, it's now 1v1 because the spellbreaker came back. And we will see the shift from creating distance, running away, trying to stopping him just from attacking me, and how the fight shift once it's a 1v1, for example. So I find him coming with his charge on me, and I try to keep my distance from him. Always remember that it's a spellbreaker, which means his bursts will trigger Mage Tether and will stun me with or deal me with his full counter. I eat it and trigger stability. I'm tanking some of his damage and then healing, trying to use my cooldown against his. It's like trading punches. He aligns the damage, I land the heal. I switch bit immediately to break the Mage Tether with stability. I try to lock him with Iboga, just a little bit of pressure, because he is a spellbreaker. Eventually he will cleanse all of that and go through it. Survive his CCs with another stability, again healing and doing some damage, switching weapon next to him, taking this protection, regeneration from my bit and the trap, and making him follow me, interrupting him immediately with Entrance Avatar, and going for more hits inside it, more cover condition, but he cleansing all, but eventually he would run away from them or run out of them. So distance management is the most important thing you can see. Even in a 1v1, someone who's this aggressively powerful, especially in a melee combat, distance is your ally. You can only go to melee if you think you can lock them, if they don't have more tools, and this fight, it will not go this way anyway. I switch bits for more stability, and like I said, micromanagement to the turtle. She land her launch. I interrupt him with Entrance Avatar and land huge amount of condition on him, using my staff 5 to safely stomp, and the fight was over. I hope this video was helpful and you get to see how we kite, how we fight, how we apply our damage, how we survive, focus on creating distances, stuff like that, and even cleaving the micromanagement of our bait, different things of how to actually play Druid, and you can yourself know how to fight against it in case you are fighting Druid. This will be it for the video. Ask me anything in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and I'll be seeing you next time. Peace.